That's all I can say.
Well, that's good. If that's what you know, then you're doing well.
Yeah, well, we got things to talk about today with the investigator Jimmy Leach. You got a sign you're going to show and all that.
Yeah, folks. If you like what we're doing,
yeah.
you could check us out. If you could see this
Yeah.
on Tennessee Underground Facebook page,
Right.
and now on the YouTube channel that says Tennessee Underground.
Okay.
If you go to YouTube, we like you. Please like us, share us, and subscribe. Doesn't cost anything to subscribe. You just follow us.
All right, there you go.
And also, you can go to tugnews.com, our website, and you can see the blogs, podcasts, all sorts of things on there. Great stuff on there.
All kinds of great information right there. So follow along. We'll try to. I've been remiss about doing that, but he's got that whiteboard now because we're also doing this on video. So.
Of course, my handwriting is a great reason to have a laptop. Nobody can read. You got to be a hieroglyphics major to read my handwriting.
Okay. There it is. The Rosetta Stone will not work on Leach. You know what I mean? It will not work. Well, let's talk about Cobb County. You spent some time there.
Cobb County. I was undercover off and on for 18 months, and then when I was a supervisor with the TBI, that was part of my territory.
Okay. Well, we'll talk about them for a moment.
Wild place, man.
Well, it's an interesting county with an interesting reputation and history. It certainly is.
Because it's calmed down a lot now.
Yeah.
But we had a cockfight up there one time, Steve. It was the warm-up fight for the World Championship.
Okay.
Had people from Hawaii there.
Okay.
We arrested about 300 people and seized 400 fighting chickens.
Okay.
Really something. Yeah.
The judge did what?
Judge, we had court right there in the cockhouse.
All right.
It was on a Saturday.
Okay.
And the judge was on the golf course. Okay. And he was having a good time playing golf, I think.
Okay, y'all kind of
And he just got up on the speaker stand in the arena there, the cockhouse they call it.
Yeah.
I was standing with the Attorney General and I heard a big roar go up. And I went up to my guy that was guarding the front door and I said, "What's going on, Bill?" And he said, "The judge just told me to give him the chickens back." And we'd been out there all day. We'd been out there at 4 o'clock in the morning. This was about 3.5 minutes. We'd already loaded the chickens up in Ryder trucks. And
taking to the Humane Society.
so he didn't. Well, you know what? I had to. This was big business now.
Yes,
really big business.
I laughed, but
I had to sign an agreement that said I would never divulge where we sent the chickens to do away with them, because they had the Humane Society had done it a few years ago in Cleveland, Tennessee, between Chattanooga and Knoxville, and the people who actually killed the chickens, they got death threats and calls to their home, threats to bomb their houses and stuff like that.
Serious
So
business.
yeah, it was big time business, man.
Which brings up, they've had 2 tragic incidents just in the last 3 months where people have been killed by dogs.
Yeah, I talked to one of my best friends up there that used to be the TBI agent for that area and was the sheriff of the county next door for a few terms. And he said, my first thought was that maybe they had switched from chicken fighting to dog fighting up there. But nobody's seen any indication.
Right.
But in the last 3 months, I believe, David said, they've had a man and a woman both mauled to death by a pack of dogs. And don't know if it's wild dogs running. It didn't say anything. I tried to find out some more, and he didn't really know any more about it either. So just don't know. But it's tragic. You hear of it every now and then, but you don't hear 2 deaths in 2 or 3 months. Like
Didn't it, in Mississippi, you say a 6-month-old child was killed after a police chase?
Yeah, here's what happened. Something made it crop up just the other day. And I couldn't find out anything more recent. But this guy went to his girlfriend's house and killed her, and then killed, I think, her nephew. Killed 2 people, and then grabbed a 3-month-old baby that supposedly was his, or don't know. Kidnapped a 3-month-old baby. Jumped in the car, and one of the younger children got away. And they called police. Police went to the house, found 2 dead people. She described the guy, and they knew who it was. So the chase ensued, and this was over in around Baton Rouge, Louisiana. They finally came up on him on Interstate 10 outside of Biloxi, I think. An hour-long chase. They threw strips out in front and tried to flatten his tires. That didn't stop him. They blocked down Interstate 10 eastbound. All the exits blocked, all this stuff, trying to get him stopped. There was at least 12 cars involved, several jurisdictions, several agencies.
Winds up getting killed.
He is driving, holding the child in his right arm with the gun. He's using the child as a shield. And finally, and they're trying to wear him down, And finally, he starts to jump the median and go over on the westbound side, which was not. It still had traffic. They had to do something then, and they got him in the median, trapped him in the median. He fired, he shot, and they shot back, killed him, and killed the child. Still do not know. I looked when I was still looking up to broadcast time, and the child was killed by gunfire, but don't know whose gunfire it was or what happened. But just tragic. They did all they could do, and it was a split-second decision. And he'd already killed 2 people using a baby as a shield. Who knows what he would have done if he'd got on the other lane of traffic?
Jim Leach, the investigator, with us. Well, one thing that we are continuing to follow is what's happening with cities and relationships with police departments, and it's kind of been a back and forth, and it will continue to be for a while.
Sure it will, yeah.
So a continued discussion. But in Chicago, what we saw, and here's the thing with the mayor of San Francisco saying, hey, come to this city, it's safe because we're putting officers out. We love our San Francisco police.
And now Portland's seen the light too, Portland's lost 125 officers.
Okay.
And that's a whole lot for them. Last week they had 4 shootings in 4 hours with 2 people killed. And they're saying, now they say we don't have enough police resources. We need more police resources. Oh, wow. Well, you know what they've done.
So what's happening with Chicago? Civilian oversight.
Well,
a civilian oversight committee has been approved.
Yeah.
Now we have those things. Are they good?
Well, there's nothing really new about it. It's because of Chicago. But I come to find out when I read up on it, this is the 12th level of civilian oversight that they've got there at the Chicago Police Department. Some of them, people get elected to sit on different boards per district. I think there's 22 districts up there, they said. Each district has its own. I think this one, they get nominated, and then the mayor chooses like 7 people maybe to be on it.
So the function of these committees is what?
Well, make suggestions. They can't fire anybody. They can have a no confidence vote for the chief of police, but the mayor has to do the hiring and firing on the chief of police. They can come up with.
These are in response to citizen complaints and concerns.
Right. Well, and this was part of the mayor's platform when she ran for mayor.
Right.
She's saying, "I told you I was going to do this," but when it's the 12th layer of, you wonder what's. It sounds to me like they're just trying to placate and not really doing much. Citizen review, police are against it, but it's not bad. That's okay. We need citizen involvement there. When you've got the right to take away people's property and their freedom and maybe even their life in extreme situations, you got to expect some accountability and some oversight. Goes with it. But they can go too far. We had a city here in Tennessee. This has been 10, 15 years ago. I had some in one of my classes, and the Civil Service Board served as their citizen review board, and they did the hiring. They even did the disciplinary actions.
Oh, wow.
And I think that's a little too far. Yeah.
So
I don't think that lasts.
Say even in Portland now, they're beginning to say, "Hey, we have that."
We need some police up here. Well, good luck. You're gonna have trouble finding any.
One man that I'm seeing out on some of the news circuits and show circuits is Bill Bratton. So, what is his history?
I like Bill Bratton. Bill Bratton was chief of police in Los Angeles, California, and New York City Police Department. I think he's well grounded. He's good. He's written a new book called The Profession, probably the second hottest selling police book that there is right now, right behind Murder's a Tough Business by Jim Leach. But he's, seriously, he goes all back. He described, I've seen a preview, saw a video of him talking to New York TV station talking about. He compares what we're going through now to things that we went through in the 70s and the 90s. He talks about homeless people. Obviously, you're talking about the war on drugs earlier today.
Right.
Obviously, he gets into the narcotics situation. And he touches on fewer police, and Steve, it's just a given. The fewer police you have, the more crime you're going to have. I don't care who says what. That's just a fact. All right. And people that tend not to want police are the ones that want to quit crime and get away with it. That's kind of the way I look at it. He mentions the decriminalization of many crimes, which, we're seeing a bunch of that, and obviously.
What a reaction to prisons that we feel like are overcrowded, or people that are being incarcerated for excessive amounts of times, or local facilities that can't handle the load.
Yeah. And then that's on one side, and that's a legitimate concern. Heck, and then on the other side, you got, well, if I can commit crime and they're not going to do anything to me, why not commit some more crime? It's in our society, and we did this with drugs. We still do with drugs. We tend to want a solution, and in the back of our minds, we're looking for the perfect solution. Well, usually there is not a solution. There's going to have to be a bunch of different solutions, and it's not going to be perfect.
Brad also talks about the need for continued training because he said you have to adapt to a continually changing community.
Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more.
Okay.
Yeah, they're talking now about a lot of departments go 6 or 8 months for new recruits. They're talking about a year. I think Bratton recommends a year.
And then continued training. He said there is no 30-year veteran.
No.
Know everything. He said no. He said I don't care how long you've been with the department, you got to go back.
Yeah,
things
sure.
have changed. You got to be
Well,
reminded of
just about every agency that I know of in this country has mandates for yearly training. Now in Tennessee, it's 40 hours a year. Post-certified Peace Officer Standard Training Commission certified training. Different states do different things. But
I would think the content of that training would be different now, Jim.
It changes every year. You know how. I mean, a lot of police work now is technology, as we know, and technology is moving so fast. Plus, every time, laws change, or every time the Justice Department goes in and looks at a big department, comes out with recommendations, all those are blended into the training for all the departments.
One other article I saw recently and I found it interesting about the shot spotter technology, which we use in Jackson.
Yeah.
Right? It's expensive. It's for some to put it in. Does it work? Is it worth the money?
Well, it works. Now, whether it's worth the money or not, because it is.
It takes the sounds and analyzes them, and it can tell when shots have been fired. Because sometimes we heard shots fired, or people say, "Well, I didn't see anything here."
Well,
if you roll in, right?
It not only tells you when shots have been fired. In at least some occasions, it can give you an idea what kind of weapon you're looking at. Okay. Whether you're looking at a shotgun, a .22 pistol, a .40 caliber, a fully automatic weapon.
So you know when you roll.
Yeah, and plus, and this was a thing that I hadn't thought about. These people out here that commit crime with guns, they don't go to the firing range, but they have to shoot. They shoot, and what they'll do, they'll find a ditch or something somewhere in the neighborhood and go out there and start shooting. Well, when the police start showing up, when they're shooting those guns, it tends to cut back.
You support the technology.
I'll support the technology, whether it's worth the money or not. Somebody else have to make that call because I don't know what else they might spend it on or whatever. But there's so much of that goes on, Steve.
Well, there are also allegations that they're only targeting certain neighborhoods, but you said that's based on stats.
Well, that's data driven. I mean, if you got an expensive piece of equipment here, right?
Okay. And
you're just going to put it up wherever you want to, and wait for the mayor or the city council or the county commission to say where you got that equipment at, and you can't justify where you put it. You put the equipment up where you've been getting reports of shots being fired. Like a little old lady told me that time when I was working cold case here in the city. She said, sitting on her front porch, she said, "Mister, y'all got to do something." She said, "These boys are shooting all hours of the day and night over here. We can't sleep. We're afraid to walk out of our houses because of gunfire."
Jimmy Leach, the investigator. What's happening on the show Saturday?
Saturday we got Richard
Barber.
I don't know why. I can't remember Richard's name. I apologize. I'm crazy about it. The head of Aspel Rehab and Treatment Center. That's not the official name, I guess.
Recovery Community.
Recovering Community. You have a little knowledge of that, I think. Chairman of the board of directors. And Richard, I don't know Richard's official title. Is he?
He's executive director.
Executive director. That's what I thought. But just going to be a really special show, I think, because he's a special guy, very knowledgeable, and it's a topic that if you're not interested in it, you ought to be interested in it. I'll tell you that because it can strike any of us.
That's coming up at 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock
Saturday morning,
Saturday.
right? Church of the Praise on 93.1 WTJS FM.
And you've got the power. WNWS